everyone, this is Marine Blue Angel here, and today I will be playing Grow with the Flow, which is another Otome Jam 2023 entry. I briefly took a look at the game page on Itch.io, and these characters are all based on different plants, whether they're fruit or vegetables. For example, this person is based on an eggplant, this one is spinach, strawberry, carrot, and tomato, which I love. I love the character design so much. And I'm assuming we are a farmer enjoying that farm life. Very exciting. So without much further ado, let's just get started. Ah! Oh, where are we? Ow. Several cups of instant noodles litter the floor around your feet. The exhaustion from your day's work seemed to have gotten the best of you. Did you just nod off? You sighed and picked up a couple of packs, haphazardly placing them back in the messy piles they had come from. That'll do. You didn't have time or energy to organize the kitchen any further. You continued what you were doing before you dozed off and poured water from the freshly boiled kettle into the open cup noodles in front of you, closing the lid back over it and setting a timer on your phone for 2 minutes. This was a routine for you at this point, since, well, instant meals like this were all you could afford at the moment. Been there. Initially, the plan was to be self-sufficient, and in the beginning, things weren't this rough. But now, that wasn't working out too great. You paused to look out the window. It had only been a few months since you bought this farm. Okay, so you already are a farm owner. Why did you buy a farm? Is it your lifelong dream? But it looked worse off than when you purchased it. And when you bought it, it had been deserted for 2 years. Honestly, it was impressive in a weird way. It took a certain level of skill to be this bad at farming. Quickly, you were learning that your assumption that farming would be easy was incredibly naive. But that wasn't going to stop you. You could do this. You had to. You'd spent all your savings on this farm. All your eggs were in this basket. Metaphorically, of course. If you had hens, they surely would have run away by now, let alone be producing eggs for you. Either way, this had to work. Going back to your parents defeated was not an option. Mama didn't raise a quitter. Your phone timer went off, which meant dinner was served. Bon appetit. You picked up the cup noodles, however, not before being shocked that the cup's exterior was hot for the millionth time that week. You wrapped it with a tea towel as you hissed from the pain, and took it with you to the dining table to eat. The second you smelled food, your stomach rumbled loudly. You'd worked up such an appetite during the day, you didn't even care to wait for it to cool. You immediately began digging in, slurping the noodles as you blew and fanned it in a desperate attempt to cool it. Sometimes it felt like you ate like a starving animal by the end of the workday. I can imagine running a farm or trying to get a farm up and running is very strenuous and a lot of energy spent. After a few hefty mouthfuls, the desperation to eat faded and you slowed your pace. This left enough time to get your phone out of your pocket to start a post about your day. Tomorrow I should go to the markets in town. Maybe I'll find something useful. You spoke your plans out loud to your phone to break the looming quiet of your lonely, run-down farmhouse. All this really was difficult, and it did take a toll on you. But all you could do was stay positive and wait. Hope. Pray. Going to the markets was a good idea. However, laboring over the fields only did so much. Successful farming's main ingredient was patience. You didn't have much money, but maybe you'd find a bargain on some tools or soil. Or even, if you are fortunate enough, some fertilizer. That would be great for boosting crop growth. You finished your food, cleaned up both the kitchen and your cell, and headed straight to bed. cool if my crops grew overnight. If you're out there, God, please, help me out. You closed your eyes. Be careful what you wish for. Wow, these plants are gonna come to life. Okay. These crops. You woke up as the sun rose like you did every morning. Sleeping any longer than sunrise was hard on a farm. But regardless, you felt very well rested as you slid out of bed and got ready to go outside. You put on the kettle to start your food routine once more, taking a glance outside to observe any progress there might be in the field as you did so. God seemed to have decided not to answer your prayers last night. It looked the same as every other morning. Nothing was sprouting, not even the crops you planted before yesterday. You sighed with disappointment and headed back in. Time to prepare yourself to go to the markets. I like these backgrounds. The music's also fun. Also, this little text box is the interface as well. The local market wasn't anything to write home about. It was what you'd expect from a rural community focused on farming, artisan and animal products, and other nature-reliant production businesses. Vendors sold many things their community needed: tools, seeds, soil, fertilizer, pesticides, and equipment. Some clothing stalls were also around, a large sum of which were handmade from local farms with sheep amongst their livestock. Oh, that's cool. One of your favorite stalls is located just around the bend in the corner. Addie's beeswax and honey. When you first moved to this town, one of the neighbors had been so kind enough to visit your farmhouse with a double helping of honey from Addie's. Eating some naturally produced honey with your breakfast had been a real treat. At least, until it ran out, along with your savings. Yogurt and honey used to be a simple meal, but now it felt like a delicacy. Oh, that's hard. Addie also sold beeswax products. Wax was useful to anyone, everywhere. After all, it was nice, but pretty standard. You can't help but think how much your mother would like this stall amongst others. You missed her. One of the vendors at a food stall smiled and waved at you. You knew her. When you first moved here and had extra cash, you bought food from her stall a few times. You had also struck up a conversation with her, so you know each other somewhat. She was a kindly woman with curly red hair, sun-kissed freckles, a red ribbon on her head, and always dressed in blue overalls. Heya, newbie farmer. How you doing? She spoke with a country drawl, which was fairly common for the area. You smiled back. Hi there, Sally. I'm alright. You've forgotten my name, haven't you? She laughed sheepishly, rubbing the nape of her neck with a hesitant smile. I'm sorry, darling. I'm awful at remembering names. Don't take it personally, please. What was it again? What's my name? 12 character max. My pronouns. Thank you. Oh, I had caps on. Sorry, I thought that was just for good. Of course. Of course. Of course. Marie. I'm sorry, love. Here, take some pasta. It's on me. She offered you a plastic box filled up to the lid of what appeared to be penne with bolognese sauce. Some real food would be nice for a change. Are you sure? Are you sure? I really don't mind the mistake. It happens. Don't be silly. Besides, it looks like you've lost some weight. Been sweating out on the fields too much. You chuckled awkwardly and nodded as you reached for the box. You weren't going to admit your dependency on instant noodles right now. Thanks, Sally. I appreciate it. You made a mental note to thank Sally when the produce on your farm came in. You could thank her with some freshly grown strawberries straight from the farm for the crepes she made sometimes. If the strawberries ever grew, that is. There must be some way you could thank Sally, you thought as you continued to walk through the marketplace. Right as you went to turn around to continue your way past various stalls, you heard an older man's voice clearing their throat behind you. accepting freebies now, are we? Didn't know we ran charities for city folk to take advantage of. Oh no, not him. The old man that stood before you was your next-door neighbor, Jeremiah. Well, neighbor in a way. He lived on the only other farm within a few miles of you, and he was awful. He refused to help at all. Not that he was required to, but it was almost like he relished in your failures. Now and then he turned up at the farm and smugly insult your farm, but he never actually told you how to fix the issues he raised. Just critiquing you for no reason. You need to provide constructive feedback or critique criticism to be helpful. Greet him nicely, being kind is the best medicine, or respond to him briefly but firmly. Maybe that's first one. You decided to greet Jeremiah kindly. Kindness was the best medicine after all. Hi there, Jeremiah. You gave him a wide, honest smile, despite the reactionary urge to be as difficult as possible. Your mother always said your color shone through best when you were kind. Don't pretend to be all sweet now, Marie. We all know you're just a leash to this good community. Jeremiah, how rude. They all sound the same. Sally looked at Jeremiah with disappointment. You kept smiling, ignoring how awful he was being. Leech? You had a feeling there was more to this than Jeremiah was letting on. Did he dislike you because you were from the city? Is that why he was so hell-bent on watching you fail? Marie is just as much as a member of this community as you are. Go and be grumpy elsewhere. Besides, I offered it to her. Well, that worked out in your favor. Sally was entirely on your side now, fending off Jeremiah on your behalf. Kindness really does work out sometimes. But Jeremiah was not done. That's because you're too sweet for your own good, Sally. But I know the truth. She's no good. But no matter. Most of us here can afford to buy our own food anyway. After all, our businesses aren't failing like yours is, Marie. Damn. He moved up to Sally's stall, smugly giving her a $10 note and pointing at something in display to order it. You felt slightly humiliated, especially since Sally looked at you concerned now that he'd exposed her financial status. What an awful old man. But you needed to keep positive. Ignore him and he would eventually go away. Thanks again, Sally. I'll bring you something once my crops start yielding. He put on a smile and gave a friendly goodbye wave. Oh, of course, dear. You take your time learning. Don't listen to this grumpy old fart here. Yes. What an intense interaction. You laughed and nodded as you walked off, hearing Jeremiah's complaints in the distance. You just don't get it, Sally. I'm not grumpy. I'm realistic. And if you saw a second of what goes down on that farm, you know that she will fail. If you're hoping for a return investment, Sally, give up. Her farm hasn't sprouted anything since the McCarthy's owned it. Okay, so the previous tenants, owners. The rest of your browsing around the markets was uneventful. There wasn't anything new that you could afford, honestly. Well, it was worth taking a look. You never know. Maybe there would have been something that would have solved all your problems if you hadn't turned out. But there wasn't, and eventually you gave up. Instead, you enjoyed Sally's pasta in the shaded dining area of the markets, feeling guilty but savoring each bite you took. Before you knew it, you had finished the spaghetti, leaving you wanting for more. But the only noodles you knew that were waiting for you were the instant cup noodles back home. You were just about to turn back around and leave when... You look like you're looking for a miracle. You turned to the source of the voice. Oh, you look like you... Mysterious person in the cloak. You look like you're looking for a miracle. You turned to the source of the voice, seeing a person shrouded in a dark cloak. You haven't seen this individual before. It was a a relatively small town where you lived. Though you didn't know everyone on a first-name basis, or every face for that matter, you would know if there were any new people in town. Were they a traveling merchant? Well, am I right? I don't know what voice I did. Maybe? The merchant grinned widely. This person seemed to be shrouded in this mystical aura. Who were they? And why did you feel so uneasy? I'm gonna go for a more feminine voice. That's kind of creepy.
You're in luck. I have many miracles to share. Come here, my dear. Let me hold your hand.
Sure. You stepped forward, extending your hand out for them. They took your hand, humming as they studied your palm carefully and meticulously.
Ah, a troubled farmer. I should have known. I have just what you need.
They turned away for a moment, and at this point, you were too confused to do anything but stand there and wait. How did they know? Were they stalking you? I don't know. After rummaging around in their stock, they pulled out a medium-sized bag of fertilizer. Not enough to spread very far, but enough to cover at least a good portion of the crops. But so what? Fertilizer was fertilizer. It helped, but it didn't guarantee anything.
This will solve all your farm's issues, young one.
How much? Even if that fertilizer was a miracle in a bag as they claimed, there was no way you could afford it. But you were curious, so you still asked.
Free.
What? Was this some sort of joke?
All I ask is for a return of my kindness. Once you create your own miracles, I would like to receive the first one.
Why did this person talk in riddles? This was crazy.
I don't create miracles, I'm sorry. I'm just a farmer. Yes, but with this fertilizer, you will have a whole field of miracles one day.
Wait, were they seriously just asking for the first crop that grows, if anything does, in return? That would be easy to do. So, you just want the first crop I make?
Indeed. So, what do you say?
You know what? I'm being way too naive with my choices, but whatever. Well, I have no other options, do I? I suppose I'll take it then. The merchant lit up with glee before they excitedly shoved the bag of fertilizer into your hands.
Yes, good. Use it immediately. The sooner, the better. And then you will see. It will truly be a miracle. Don't forget our promise.
I'm scared now, knowing that the crops are going to turn into people. You didn't even have time to leave before the merchant had ushered you away, pushing your arm in the direction where you came from to urge you back to your farm. And you were so confused by the entire ordeal that you didn't need much convincing. Just like that, you were on your way back home, armed with a fresh bag of fertilizer and a whole lot of curious motivation. Now that you were home, the gravity of your decision began to weigh down on you. Was this a scam? I like that the text box has kind of changed, like for mood or like emotions that the main character is feeling. That's quite nice. Nice little touch. It felt too good to be true. Why were you just offered a miracle bag on the promise of something in return that very well could end up being nothing from a strange hooded person that you'd never seen before? And to put the icing on the cake, it was tough to ignore the ominous aura surrounding their entire shop. Did you just do a deal with the devil? Possible. Before panicking too much, however, you reminded yourself of reality. It's doubtful that this is anything other than a weird bag of soil. The realistic worst-case scenario is that it doesn't work. The realistic best-case scenario is that it actually is good fertilizer, and it helps grow your crops. Look, at the end of the day,
what harm could it do? You stared at the bag for a bit. It legitimately does just look like a bag of soil. You picked up the bag and smelled it. Yep, very earthy. Soily, dare you say. You ripped the corner open, grabbed a handful, and felt it. All clues were leading to it, well, being soil. Shocker. Should you taste it? Just in case it wasn't soil? No, maybe not. On the off chance it was fertilizer, you could either be ingesting turds or soil pumped full of growth hormones. You don't want that in your body. That being said, everything else seemed fine. You looked over to your crops, or rather, the absence of your crops. You knew there were seeds in there, but the evidence of such was nowhere to be seen. Huh, that's tough though. What if this really was a miracle bag of fertilizer? What the hell? Why not? You already had the bag open after all. You took the bag over to where you had planted your springtime crops and shook fertilizer all over the area. By the time you were done, half the bag was gone, and you'd only covered a small area in relation to the entire field, so you stopped there. Maybe it would be best to keep the rest to re-fertilize the same crops in a month or so. You don't know. Honestly, you were an awful farmer. You already planned to ask Google what to do later.
What's your background though? Like, did you like study agricultural sciences? Or something related to that? Plant sciences? I would hope so. Or is it just your lifelong dream? I want to know more about this, about the main character. I'm intrigued.
You waited for a few moments, although you weren't sure what for. Well, for such a big decision, that was awfully anticlimactic. After you were sure nothing happened, you turned around and began walking towards the shed to store the fertilizer safely. Or at least, that was your plan. Oh. Ugh! Ow. My head.
Well, here come the people.
Oh! You're so cute!
You're a carrot. I like your orange and green hair with the yellow on top.
You opened your eyes just slightly, but everything was blurry and out of focus.
Were you hallucinating?
Are you okay? That was one heck of a fall. Who? Hey, Earth to Marie. Yoo-hoo. You felt a tap on your nose, which, oddly enough, made you come to your senses a little more. Wait, what? Hold on. There was a person here? And they knew your name?
Scream, intruders, remain silent, I'm so confused. Flirt, this seems like the right time to do that, yeah? What's remain silent, I'm so confused. This was a bizarre situation, but until you understood what was happening, you decided to stay quiet. After all, what is screaming going to do? No one was around to hear, and Jeremiah wouldn't frankly care, so...
Oh, hey, welcome back. I'm Carrot. Carrot? What a weird name. Nice to meet you. I'm Marie. Carrot simply smiled back at you, a glimmer of amusement in their eyes. Why? Oh, that's right. They already knew your name. That was still weird. You decided to ask, but then...
Another one. Oh, you're so cute too! I love these colors.
Look at this place. You know, being planted in this is akin to abuse. You abused us. Maybe we should return the favor.
You're mischievous.
Hey, take it down a notch, Tomato. You watched as Carrot physically restrained Tomato, holding them back. You got to your feet, stumbling a bit as you tried to steady yourself in case you needed to run. What warranted this kind of reaction? You were still pretty confused about it all, maybe because of the bump to your head. Even so, slowly the pieces were beginning to fall into place. Get off of me, Carrot!
These expressions are fun.
This useless excuse for a farmer needs to be held accountable.
Did you just forget the torture we've been through these past few months the second you were given a form? What torture? Hey guys, look! I'm so buff. You are Spinach. A tall person with tan skin and very toned muscles flexed their biceps in the middle of the field, standing nearby where the spinach you had planted a few months ago had been. Tomato groaned in exasperation. Carrot rolled their eyes and laughed. No, I didn't. Spinach might have, though. But that isn't her fault. She doesn't know what she's doing. Tomato, please. You're being so loud. They can hear you, remember? The short pink-haired one gestured towards the ground before crouching and whispering. You know, you were beginning to see a trend here with the names. And behaviors. I love your little strawberry top. Like, look at this. It's so cute. And your hair. I love all their character designs. They're all so cute. Good. They'll know I'm the only one standing up for them then. Oh, you're so tall. A tall person with long, dark, purplish hair came into view. This one was slightly different to the rest. They carried themselves differently. They had posture, and something about their outfit felt regal, despite various elements still suggesting he was ready and able for farm work. He had bright purple eyes that bore into everything he looked at. No, everything he studied. Their gaze was calculating, cold even. They walked past Tomato. Bold of you to assume you know what the plants want, Tomato. Regal? I don't know what other voice, unless I don't know why I always think maybe try an English British voice for Regal. Why do I make that association? Don't know. Tomato practically growled at the purple-haired one, but after a few seconds they began to calm down slightly. Carrot released Tomato from his grip once he made sure he wouldn't cause a ruckus anymore. Well, I know what I want. Ugh. Look at all these weeds in here, suffocating everyone. It's disgraceful. She can't even do that right. Give her a break, Tomato, please. You know she's new to this. But hey, we can help her now. Carrot turned to you and gave a wide smile and a thumbs up. You gave a weary thumbs up back. So, these were your crops? Why were they human? Tomato huffed again, grumbling to themselves, bending over and grumpily beginning to rip out the unwanted weeds they mentioned before. Girl, we hadn't taken out the weeds. Shouldn't we have taken out the weeds? I feel like I have no green thumb, okay? Like, I promise you. But I feel like even I would know to take out weeds. Tossing them aside, angrily to the side. That seemed to be the end of that for now. I'm sorry. Hey, you're all good. It's a hard job. They put a hand on your shoulder, patting you firmly, yet gently. Something was already very heartwarming about them. They seemed to believe in you. That wasn't something that you'd had since moving here. I've tried really hard. I don't want to make excuses, but it's fine. Don't worry. I've heard you talking about it. I know you didn't do it on purpose. They hurt me? Okay, so they actually were my crops then. How would they know your name, though? Unless Jeremiah's just be like, Marie. Because I assume you wouldn't, unless you're like Marie to yourself. Why am I doing this and why are you doing that? Anyways, question I have, but whatever. It's a small detail. Wow, I have so many questions to ask. I suppose this is all pretty confusing. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Carrot grinned, pointing his thumb to his chest to emphasize his reliability and trustworthiness. You seem pretty reliable and trustworthy, Carrot. Carrot smiled again, encouraging you to ask whatever you needed to, with a simple look. Who are you guys exactly? Carrot smirked a little, nudging you with their elbow. Who do you think we are? Well, are you the crops from my farm? Bingo, we are indeed. I'm Carrot, and the hothead is Tomato. Tomato glared at Carrot on cue, who were returning to their aggressive weeding. Carrot chuckled a little before continuing. How fun. This is Strawberry.
Ah, that makes sense. They definitely stuck to the naming trend. Strawberry looked out from the ground that they occupied nearby Tomato, smiling softly and giving a small wave. As their name suggests, they're very sweet, but also a little shy. No, cute shy face. Strawberry blushed at that, hiding their head back under their hair as they returned to whispering to the ground. Sorry, Strawberry. The big one over there is Spinach. Spinach was still fascinated with their physical state. It seemed they were flexing and posing into a puddle of water. It reminded you of Narcissus and how he fell in love with his own reflection. He only stopped when his name was mentioned, but not for long, as he turned and posed even more enthusiastically, this time directed at you. Is Spinach usually vain? Well, I don't know. Usually we don't have physical forms. Spinach seemed confused by your comment, taking a second to think before blurting out a question to clarify. But aren't I supposed to have veins? Yeah. Anyway, the final one of us here is Eggplant. They're over there. Carrot pointed towards the purple-haired one. Eggplant. Again, that made sense. He didn't turn to introduce himself when they were mentioned like the rest of them, though they seemed lost in thought, studying the farm with great interest and focus. There's like an embroidery detail on the pants here that is fun. Don't mind Eggplant. They take everything this seriously, and they don't really say much either. They think they're better than the rest of us. Oh. They think they're better than the rest of us. Spinach laughed. Tomato. Tomato jumped, genuinely shocked that Eggplant hurt them, which just caused Spinach to laugh even more, pointing at Tomato and clutching their stomach. Tomato got embarrassed very quickly, deciding in that moment to direct their aggression towards Spinach instead. And you watched as Tomato threw a weed they just picked directly at Spinach. Unfortunately for Spinach, the weed landed perfectly into his mouth. Oh. Oh, don't make me eat weeds. Ha! Nice shot. Tomato's expression softened, admittedly, grinning a bit to themselves. He looked a little proud, but only for a moment, because as soon as Spinach finished raking the dirt out of their mouth with their bare hands, Spinach followed Tomato's earlier example and suddenly jumped in fright. Hey, did you guys hear that? Everyone, including yourself, looked at Spinach in confusion. But it wasn't long before laughter resumed. Eggplant went back to looking off in the distance. Scaredy cat, afraid of the wind? No, shut up. Scaredy cat. I'm not scared, and I'm not a cat. I'm a spinach. Whatever. Carrot smiled again, encouraging you to ask whatever you need to with a simple look. How did this happen? Good question. Carrot shrugged. It seemed like they didn't really know either. My guess is that it's probably something to do with that stuff you sprinkled on us right before you fell over. That would make sense. You'd be surprised that the magic bag of strange, ominous fertilizer had nothing to do with this. Correct. Correct. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Eggplant returned with some soil in their hand, rubbing it between their fingers. Marie, where did you get this? From some shady person in the markets that I don't know the name of? That sounded way worse than it was out loud. Well, no, it was pretty bad, regardless of how you worded it. Eggplant cocked a brow at you quizzically before letting the soil from their hands fall through their fingers onto the ground before them, brushing their hands to get off the remnants. Where's the rest of it? Oh, you had the bag in your arms when you fell. You looked over in a slight panic to where you fell, jumping to action to look for it. Wait here. You found it relatively quickly, only a few feet from where you fell. Huh. You picked it up again for some reason. It was lighter. Maybe the effects weren't limited to jester crops. You had just gotten stronger since you last picked it up? The bag wasn't nearly as heavy as before. Or maybe the adrenaline was still in your system from your fall earlier. Got it. You offered it to Eggplant, who took it silently and opened the bag to study it.
So, what? So what? Is it some magic soil or something?
Eggplant shrugged, handing the bag to Carrot.
Nothing out of the ordinary, but it is obviously the culprit regardless. Marie, make sure this is sealed properly and hidden. Yeah, good idea. Wouldn't want this to fall into the wrong hands, hey?
Eggplant simply nodded before returning to assessing the farm.
And asking the last question, what is next? Well, it's fairly obvious we need to fix this somehow.
Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Strawberry cautiously stand up with a worm on their finger, smiling as they took a few steps towards you, both with their new friend.
Look, we have worms.
You were a bit hesitant, but you weren't scared. You'd seen worms before, but admittedly, they were a little creepy.
The stars in their eyes.
So prickly. They looked alien-like. A farmer who didn't like worms. How useful.
Hey, that's a great start. Worms are great helpers.
Strawberry smiled, getting the worm on their fingers, petting the worm on their fingers gently. I think we can do this. Fixing the farm, I mean. It's a big task, but it's possible. If we all help, that is. And then we can make a good home for the rest of our family, too. Even though they don't have forms.
Hey, you're motivated now, hey Starbs.
Yeah, I agree.
If we all put in the effort, I think we can make this farm flourish.
You wondered if they knew that if the crops grew, that you'd be selling and possibly eating the produce. Well, that was a problem for a later date. Either way, Strawberry seemed happy now, nodding and moving back away to return the worm to where they found it. Strawberry did seem the shyest of the bunch, but that didn't make them any less included from what you could tell. It was actually really refreshing to see such wholesome interactions for a change. That is really nice.
I think that settles it then. Starting tomorrow, we will fix this mess and make the best farm ever. No offense.
Ha! None taken. Mess was a fairly nice way of putting it anyway.
Aw, look at all of them. So cute. Well, if that's the case, we should assign tasks to keep our focus on.
Eggplant reappeared, and then the others followed suit. Even Tomato, considering they had tried to undermine Eggplant earlier, it was slightly humorous seeing Tomato looking to them for direction without hesitation.
We should play to our strong suits. That makes the most sense. Which means...
Eggplant directed their eyes towards Spinach.
Because you and I were given the largest forms, we should take on the more laborious tasks. How do you feel about building, Spinach?
Eggplant may as well have told Spinach to do something impossible, because it didn't matter. When Eggplant paired it with such a high compliment on Spinach's form, they were already in for whatever workload he was given.
I got it, boss.
Spinach gave Eggplant a quick thumbs up and a wink, grinning ear to ear. Eggplant couldn't help but crack the slightest smile at that.
Alright. I'll help Spinach where needed, but my main focus will be planning the farm and ensuring the science is right. I'll need to move a fair bit of the trellises and some of the invasive plants that have been grown wild to make space. That leaves the actual farm to you four.
They looked towards you, Tomato, Carrot, and Strawberry.
Do you have any preferences?
You looked at the others. Honestly, you had no idea what you should offer your hand in. You obviously weren't doing the greatest before. If it's alright, I like to tend to the existing plants and the sprouts as they grow. Water them, prune them, talk to them.
That sounds like a good fit for you, Strawberry.
Strawberry's smile showed just how happy they were at that approval, and Eggplant's gaze softened a little in response.
Aw, how cute! They're both cute.
It seemed Eggplant wasn't all stoicism and distance, after all.
Tomato? Well, who's going to do the weeding? I can do that. I've already been doing that anyway. Great. And Carrot? Marie?
Well, we could just help out where we need the extra help, right?
We seem to have most of our bases covered. Why is Spinach's face like that? That's funny. Alright, we also may need supplies, so the rest of us can ask one of you to run to the market if needed.
Gotcha. Honestly, that seemed like a great plan. That meant you could learn as you went too. So that was that then. Spinach would be doing manual labor, An eggplant would be helping in that regard while taking care of more of the technical side. Strawberry would be tending to the crops, and Tomato would be taking care of pests, weeds, and anything invasive. And Carrot and you, well, you were both errand runners, it seemed. That was fine. It worked out well. Your stomach grumbled, interrupting your line of questioning. You got distracted for a long time, it seemed. The sun was beginning to set. It had been a big day after all, and now you had 5 guests. Oh no. The logistics of your situation began to sink in. Where were they going to sleep? Eat? Did they even sleep or eat? Your stomach made a weird noise, Marie. Are you dying? She isn't dying, idiot. She's just hungry, right? Yeah, a little. I usually go inside around this time and have dinner and set up for bed. Easy to say that the routine wasn't going to be as straightforward as it usually was, though. Oh, that's a relief. Well, we won't be able to do much on the farm right now. Let's go inside. After that, the group of them all invited themselves into your home. Hey, shoes off at the door, please. Without too much fuss, you were able to get your dinner organized, settling yourself down at the dining table with your food as soon as you could. Your new guests were already there, watching you go through your routine with various reactions. You introduced your styrofoam cup of noodles to the plants as ramen, assuring them the noodles were an edible source of some nutrition, mixed in with a powdery soup base. They're spinach and carrots faces. Also strawberries. And these two are just kind of like, meh. Spinach watched with awe as you poured hot water into the cup noodles, steam rising up from the cup. Tomato seemed unimpressed. From what you could tell, Eggplant didn't react much to the cup noodles. Instead, he seemed to be taking in their surroundings. To be honest, there wasn't much to take in apart from maybe how barren the room was. The simple desk, the 2 chairs, everything about the room screamed simplicity. Interior design was not on the forefront of your mind, after all. Carrot watched thoughtfully, making sure they didn't get in the way as you prepared your dinner, and Strawberry shyly took a seat at the edge of the dining table as they waited for you to finish waiting for your cup of noodles to heat up. So, that's all you eat? A cup full of pale worm things? That's funny. Tomato pointed at the cup of noodles, one hand in his pocket, nonchalant. The comparison of noodles to worms made your stomach queasy, but you suppose that comparison made sense, considering how they looked. It's all I can afford right now. These are cheap. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for today, and I'll just continue if I have to continue. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please like the video. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please do, because I will be playing this further soon enough. And I'm really enjoying it. All the characters are very fun. I like the premise. Character designs are fun, and all that. So, yes. Subscribe if you want to see me play more of this. Grow with the flow. And also be playing more visual novels in the future. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!